We're going to have the block this time the long way vertically in between the shoulder blades. And we're going to lie down with the knees bent. So a supported position on your back. This is called a little scapula scrub. So hands are going to be behind the head to support the head. You can have elbows in as much as you need. And we're just going to start with a little side bend. So it just looks like you're side bending side to side on the block, like a bear scratching a tree. When you see a bear kind of scratch their back on a tree, that's the same idea that we're doing here. We're getting some nice mobilization and tissues moving between the shoulder blades. There are almost 20 muscles that attach to our shoulder blades. So that's a lot of things to either move or not move. So they might be really sticky here. Just allow this movement. You can start rounding and arching the back if that feels good. Notice what it feels like in the front of the chest and the front of the shoulders as you start to get this movement around the shoulder blades. All right, we'll roll off the block and place the block between the knees or thighs for bridge. So you can have the block whatever width feels good, checking that triple S. So feet are down. We've got the back of the skull, the shoulder blades, and the sacrum on the ground. Hug the block as you push into the feet. Use your glutes to lift into a low bridge. Now stay low enough that your shoulder blades and your back ribs are still on the ground. We're drawing those two pelvic points in, holding really still here. Reach both arms up with the palms facing in toward each other. Let's start to move the shoulder blades. As we reach the arms even higher, the shoulder blades spread away from the spine. That's protraction. And then just bring the shoulder blades back down to the mat in that starting position. Reach the fingertips even further up toward the ceiling. Shoulder blades protract, spread away. And then bring them back into that neutral. Try that a couple more times. We're holding everything else still and just feeling the shoulder blades move. So the arms stay straight the whole time. The elbows don't bend. And one shoulder blade might feel different than the other in terms of the ability to protract and then retract. We're going to stay in our bridge. Reach that right palm up toward the ceiling. Take the left fingers and pull back for that wrist extension stretch. Send your right thumb out to the side. Keep hugging in on the block. Switch hands, left palm up, pull back, really push down into the feet. Use your glutes to hold the hips in this low bridge. Can you try to breathe into the side and back ribs, letting the back ribs feel heavy on the ground. Hands come back down to your sides. As you exhale, let's keep hugging the block. Lower down one vertebra at a time, all the way until we get that sacrum down. Now, feeling that triple S, the block will stay between the knees or the thighs, but you could always adjust the width of the block for our core work. And if you don't have a block, that's fine. We're just using it for our core work. Hands behind the head, elbows in. Take a huge breath into the sides of the ribs. Exhale, lift off the shoulder blades, hug the block, feel those two pelvic points draw in, lean your skull back into your hands. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift off the shoulder blades, hug the block, draw the pelvic points in. Imagine knitting those front ribs in toward each other a little bit more. Lean the head back into the hands. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up, hug the block. Feel the whole front body zipper up nice and tight. Take your right arm, reach it forward toward that right knee and protract. Reach even further. Right shoulder blade spreads away from the spine to reach the arm. Hand comes back behind the head. Inhale to lower down. Exhale, hug the block, lift up, lean your skull back, knit those front ribs together. Left arm reaches toward the left knee. Reach even further by protracting that left shoulder blade away from the spine. Left hand behind the head. Inhale to lower. Exhale, hug the block, lift up. Lean your head back. Right arm reaches toward the knee. Reach even further, protracting that right shoulder blade. Now stay lifted. Make a fist with your right hand. Bring the right elbow down to your side and really dig that right elbow down into the ground. That's going to be a little bit of retraction in the shoulder blade. Right hand behind the head. Inhale and lower. Exhale, hug the block, lift up, draw the pelvic points in, knit those front ribs in. Left arm reaches toward the knee. Protract, spread that left shoulder blade away from the spine. You might get a little bit higher. Now stay here, make a fist with the left hand. Dig that left elbow down into the ground. Draw that left shoulder blade in a little bit. Hand behind the head. Inhale and lower down. Release it. Let's come into a little supine twist here. We'll keep the block between the knees. Roll to the right side. Reach the arms over to the right. And let's just make some circles with this left arm, coming into a little rotation for the ribs. And as we get this nice opening in the chest and the shoulder and the upper back, notice what the shoulder blade is doing. It's definitely not being still right now. It's moving all around so we can get this great movement of the shoulder. And let's roll to the left side. Try to keep a pretty neutral spine here. Reach the arms over toward the left, and the right arm will sweep or circle up and around. Letting that right shoulder and shoulder blade move. Let's make our way into quadruped. So we'll come to hands and knees. We won't need the block here. Shoulders are right over our wrist for quadruped. Hug those knees in nice and tight. Now let's really find that neutral neck. So chin is slightly toward the throat, but the ears aren't dropping below the shoulders. They're right in line. Hold the pelvis still, drawing those pelvic points in. Let's isolate the shoulder blades. Protract, spread those shoulder blades away, just like we practiced. Now draw the shoulder blades in. Your chest is going to lower down to the ground, but the elbows don't bend. Push into the hands, protract, spread the shoulder blades apart. Retract, draw the shoulder blades in without bending the elbows. Try that a couple more times and get really used to this feeling of moving the shoulder blades now in a weight-bearing position. So we just practiced doing that. What's called open chain. So when our arms and limbs are just free, but now our hands are really pushing into the ground. So it's a different type of movement for the shoulder blades. There's more muscles involved. Let's find our neutral shoulder blades somewhere in between spreading apart and squeezing in. So find that happy medium. Hold the shoulder blades in this neutral position. We're going to let the elbows bend out to the sides. Keep lifting the ribs up, lifting the belly. Now from this same quadruped position, holding the elbows out. Keep the shoulder blades still and try to wrap those elbows in like you're trying to get your elbow to elbow. Lots of engagement in the triceps. Hold those shoulder blades in neutral. Don't let them protract. And then straighten the arms back to quadruped. Find that neutral, especially the neck. Bend the elbows out to the side. Keep the shoulder blades still. And then try to bring the elbows in nice and narrow as much as you can, squeezing the elbows in toward each other. And then straighten the arms to quadruped. Let's take a child's pose. You could also be in down dog. If you're in down dog, you can pedal the feet out. If you're in child's pose, you can maybe roll the wrist, giving them a little break. Wherever you are, let's feel our 360 breath. So when we inhale, we want to feel the rib cage expand, front, side, and back. Exhaling completely. Let's make our way up to the top of the mat. And we'll get ready for sun salutation 1. You can have a block nearby if you've got one. And let's check that triple S. Ears right over the shoulders, over the ribs, over the pelvis. Arms reach forward and up. Let the shoulder blades lift up. Exhale, hinge without rounding the back. So nice neutral spine. Right foot steps back. Lower the knee and the top of the foot for low lunge. Lift up. Firm this right glute, draw the pelvic points in. We're going to roll the shoulders back one at a time. And as you roll the shoulders, feel the shoulder blades. So it's not just the actual little shoulder bone there. It's the shoulder blades getting this big movement to circle the shoulder, to roll the shoulder. plank pose. Hands come down. Step this left foot back to meet the right for plank. Pausing here in your neutral spine. Lower the knees and pause. Relift the throat. Let's protract and retract a little bit to find our neutral shoulder blade. Hold the shoulder blades in neutral as we lower the rest of the way down. Drag the hands back, low cobra. Lift the belly. Feel the shoulder blades pull down the back away from the ears. Retraction and depression. And then we'll tuck the toes back to downward dog. Weight stays in the hands, feet walk forward. Lift those hip crease up, lift the ribs. Lower the knees to quadruped. Right foot steps forward for low lunge. Left knee slides in, but we'll untuck the toes this time. Lifting up, so we're in that 90-90 with the toes untucked, arms dangle as we roll one shoulder back at a time, and really feel the shoulder blade lift up. Squeeze in, pull down to get the shoulder moving, and firm that left glute. Hands will come forward or to a block. Left foot steps forward to meet the right for bent knee forward fold. Push into the feet, reach the arms forward and up. Lift those shoulder blades up toward the ears, way up into elevation. Exhale, hinge. Sit back into the hips. Hands can always come to a block. Left foot steps back. Lower the knee, but not the toes. So toes are tucked this time. We'll grab a block. I'll show you what to do without the block, but I'll show you with the block first. It's going to come behind the back. So we're just grabbing the block the longest way, or the widest way, depending on how you look at it. And squeeze those shoulder blades in as you try to rip the block apart. So you're going to hold here. If you don't have the block, you're just going to put the hands at the sacrum and draw those shoulder blades in toward the spine. But wherever you are, don't let the ribs pop forward. Hands come down for plank. Knees can be up or down in plank. Let's feel that triple S here. Would a broom touch the back of our skull, shoulder blades and sacrum? Lower the knees and pause. Protract and retract a couple times. Find that neutral position of the shoulder blade. Lower the rest of the way down with control. Top of the shoulders stay lifted. Drag the hands back, low cobra. Your shoulder blades are drawing in toward the spine and down the back a little bit as you lift the belly. Tuck the toes, lift into down dog. Weight stays in the hands, walk your feet forward for down dog. Take a huge breath in and out. Lower the knees, quadruped. Left foot steps forward, right knee stays down with the toes tucked under, low lunge. Firm this right glute. Picture that broom behind your back. Either back some hands come to the sacrum or grab your block, bring it to the back of the pelvis, and try to rip that block apart as you draw the shoulder blades in. Now keep those front ribs from popping forward. We want to hold them in and just feel that the shoulder blades squeeze in, and that helps to open the chest and shoulders. Tailbone reaches down. Hands come forward or to the block. Right foot steps forward to meet the left. Bent knee forward fold. Push down into the feet. Arms come forward and up. Lift those shoulder blades way up. Sequence one. Exhale, hinge. Hands come to the block or to the ground. Right foot steps back. Lower the knee, but not the toes. So tucked low lunge. Lift up for a moment. Find your triple S. Reach the fingertips down. Now hinge forward. My left knee is not moving forward. It's staying where it is as my torso or my belly tries to get close to that left thigh without rounding the back. Now stay in this tilted lunge, but let your fingers reach all the way down toward the floor. So we're in this hovering position. We're going to picture our shoulder blades right at our back. Squeeze the shoulder blades in. That's going to lift the fingers away from the ground. And then reach the fingers down toward the ground. Let those shoulder blades protract. Squeeze the shoulder blades in. Retract. Protract. Reach the arms even longer. Retract. Squeeze the shoulder blades in. That lifts the fingers. And then protract back to the ground. Then lift to your low lunge. Goalpost the arms. So elbows are coming right out of the shoulders. We're not drooping down. Feel those shoulder blades squeeze in toward the spine. Again, without popping those ribs. And then release. Shoulder blades squeeze in. And release. So we're going to be doing these little pulses in goalpost. Just our little retraction of the shoulder blades. Tighten that right glute. Zipper that front body up. Let's bring the hands down. Quadruped. Doing what we did in our reset. Shoulders over the wrists. Lift the front of the throat. Feel that neutral scapula as if we were in a plank pose. Let the elbows bend out to the side. Lift the ribs. Now wrap the elbows in like we're trying to draw our elbows in toward each other as much as we can, working the triceps. Straighten the arms. Tuck the toes. Keep the weight in the hands. Down dog. Walk the feet in as much as you need for your down dog, but keep the weight in the hands. We really want to lift the pelvis up. We're going to do some shoulder shrugs here, which is a little bit of elevation and depression of the shoulder blades. So in our down dog, we're going to push the ground away. Let the shoulder blades glide up toward the ears, and then draw the shoulder blades down the back. Push into the hands, shoulder blades glide up and down. So we're just doing this little shoulder shrug. This is a great way to free up some tension in the upper back. Soften the knees and walk it forward. Bent knee, forward fold. Maybe hands land on the block if that's helpful. Reach the arms forward and up. Second side. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Hands can come down or to a block. Left foot steps back. Lower the knee, not the toes. We're coming to our 90-90 lunge. Check in, ears over the shoulders, over the ribs, over the pelvis. Tilt forward, so right knee's not going further forward. My torso is just, we're folding in half toward that right thigh. Reach the fingertips down. Now right glute has to be really active, but so does the left glute. Keep the head still as you retract, shoulder blades squeeze in. That lifts our fingertips away from the ground. And then protract, spread those shoulder blades away from the spine. The arms get longer. Retract, squeeze the shoulder blades in, hover those fingertips. Protract, spread away, fingertips reach toward the ground. So we're going to do that a couple more times. This movement is coming from the upper back. So we can kind of think of our scapula as our wings. If we were to have wings like a bird, that's where our wings start. Lift up into your low lunge. Tighten that left glute. Let's goalpost the arms. Get that open chest feeling without arching the back or popping the ribs. Shoulder blades squeeze in, retraction. Release. Shoulder blades squeeze in. Release. Keep going at your own pace, little squeeze in, but don't let the elbows droop down. So we're really active in the arms. We're using a lot of muscles. Keep that feeling of the pubic bone zippering up toward the belly button. Hands come down, quadruped. Find your neutral here. So we're not protracting, we're not retracting, we're somewhere in between. Hold the scapula like that as we bend the elbows out to the side. And then wrap the elbows in as much as you can, like you're trying to touch your elbow to elbow. Straighten the arms. Weight stays in the hands, tuck the toes, lift up, down dog. Lift those hip creases up, lift the front ribs. Let's add those shoulder shrugs, pushing the ground away. So the shoulder blades are gliding up and down the back ribs. Let's walk it forward, bend the knees. Walk the feet up toward the hands. Push into the feet, reach the arms forward and up. Shoulder blades lift. Let's do one sun salutation A. Exhale, hinge. Hands come down, plank pose. Find your neutral plank. Knees can be up or down. Lift the throat. Find your neutral scapula. Lower the rest of the way down. Top of the shoulders stay lifted. As you come down for cobra, hands drag back. Feel the shoulder blades squeeze in and draw down the back away from the ears as you lift the belly. Tuck the toes, your choice, down dog or child's pose. Wherever you end up, check in with that 360 breath. Let's walk it forward, bent knee, forward fold. Push down into the feet, reach the arms forward and up. Release the hands down. Let's start our second sequence. Our right foot is going to step back into a high lunge. Checking with the pelvis, we're drawing those pelvic points in, right glute is firm. Hands come to the top of the shoulders this time as we roll one shoulder back at a time. So it's kind of like the low lunge, we're rolling the shoulders, but now instead of the arms dangling, we've got a little bit more awareness of what's happening in the actual shoulder, so the head of the arm mode as it rolls back. Left hand comes to the sacrum, right arm comes up. Lift that right shoulder blade, tighten the right glute. We'll take a little bit of a side bend to the left. Feel your right shoulder blade lift up toward the ear. Come back up. Right hand is going to come all the way to the ground. Right knee comes to the ground. Slide it in for modified side plank. Left foot steps back. Pause here. We're going to bring the left hand to the right shoulder and kind of hold that right shoulder in place so it's really steady. Left foot can be on the ground or left foot can be off the ground. But let's really work on the stability of that right shoulder and shoulder blade. Can you feel it draw in toward the center? Lower for quadruped. And let's do those protractions and retractions. Spread the shoulder blades apart in quadruped. Retract, draw those shoulder blades in. Protract, spread apart. Retract, draw in. Good, protract, let's pause here. Tuck the toes, lift up, down dog. Take a couple breaths here. Wherever you are, let's bend the knees, walk it forward for the second side. Push into the feet, reach those arms forward and up. Lower the hands, left foot steps back, high lunge. Feel that neutral spine here, tailbones reaching straight down, not out behind you. Hands come to the shoulders. Let's roll one shoulder back at a time and feel all that movement of the shoulder blade. It's still gliding up, squeezing in and pulling down. Right hand comes to the sacrum, back of the pelvis, left arm reaches up. Lift everything on your left side way up like you're trying to get your armpit up toward that left ear. Side bend to the right without moving the pelvis. Bring it back up, modified side plank. Left hand comes down under the shoulder, left knee slides in, right foot steps back. Pause here. Make sure that your left hip feels really stable. Take your right hand to the left shoulder. Hold that shoulder in place. Feel your neutral scapula on that left shoulder, dragging in toward the spine a little bit. You could always have the right foot off the ground. Lower for quadruped, hands and knees. Protract and retract, spread apart. Draw the shoulder blades in. Spread apart. Draw in one more time. Spread apart. Draw the shoulder blades in. Spread apart. Tuck the toes, down dog. Lift those hip creases up. Let's bend the knees, walk it forward, bent knee, forward fold. Push down into your feet, reach the arms forward and up. We're going to start the stream. Lower the hands down. Right foot steps back into a high lunge. Now we're going to do the same thing we did in low lunge. Don't let the left knee move forward. Keep it where it is. We're basically just folding in half at the hips. So our torso is coming toward this left thigh. Reach those fingertips down like we did in low lunge. Keep that right glute on. Retract the shoulder blades, squeeze them in. That hovers the fingertips away from the ground. And then protract, reach those fingertips even further. Retract, protract. So think about this coming from the upper back, the start of our wings. Moving those shoulder blades in and away. We're gonna add on. So as we squeeze in, pause here, bend the elbows, and then do a little kickback here. Extend the arms back behind you, keeping the shoulder blades retracted. Bend the elbows. Reach the fingertips down and protract. Retract, hover, squeeze them in. Keep that squeeze as you pull the elbows up like that elbow dig we did in bridge. Reach the arms back. So kick them back like a little tricep extension. One more time, bend the elbows, reach forward. Really working the upper back and the left hip. Retract, squeeze in. Keep bending the elbows. Reach back behind you. Bend the elbows. Release the hands. Let's lift up. Left hand to the sacrum, right arm up. Side bend like we just practiced. Keep drawing those pelvic points in. Lift back up. Turn to your right. We're facing the side of the mat. Side lunges with the arms out. Can we retract those shoulder blades in a little bit like we glued them onto our back ribs? Keep hugging those front ribs up so we're not arching in the back. Lifting the front of the throat. Turn it back to the front of the mat, quadruped. Hands and knees. Let's cat-cow. Left modified side plank. Stay on that left hand and left knee. Step that right foot back. Balancing on that left knee and left shoulder. Bring the right hand, cuff that left shoulder, hold it in place. This time we'll try to float the right leg up. If you'd rather keep it down, if that's more sturdy, stay there. Lower to quadruped. We're going to try that turbo dog, which is that elbow bend we did in quadruped. You can do it one more time here in quadruped where you bend the elbows out and then wrap the elbows in. Or you can try it in down dog. We're going to have knees nice and bent, hips high, bend the elbows out to the side, and then wrap those elbows in. It's going to be definitely more challenging in down dog, so you can try it if you want. And then straighten the elbows. We're all going to be in down dog to walk it forward for the second side. Big bend in the knees, arms come forward and up. Lower the hands down. Let's start in that high lunge. Left foot back. Left knee is soft. Lift up. Picture that broom behind you as we tilt forward. So we're bringing the torso toward this right thigh as the right hip moves back. Reach those fingers down. Retract. So we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades in and then protract. Reach the fingertips long toward the ground. Just this to start, and then we'll add on. Retract and protract. Fingertips hover away from the ground. Fingertips get closer to the ground. Tighten that left glute. Draw those pelvic points in. We're going to add on now. Retract. Squeeze in. Keep bending the elbows. Hold that retraction in the shoulder blades. Extend the arms back behind you. Hug the ribs in. Rebend the elbows. Arms come back down. Protract, retract, squeeze in. Keep bending the elbows, lifting them up, and then reach the arms back behind you, rebend, and come back down. Try that a couple more times. As you do this, pay attention to what's happening in the core, glutes to shoulders. Are we losing the alignment of our neutral neck? Lift your upper body into that high lunge. Right hand to the sacrum, left arm up. Lift that left shoulder blade way up toward the ear. Side bend to the right, but keep those front ribs in. Lift back up, turn to the left, side of the mat, arms out, shoulder blades draw in and hold them there as you side lunge. Alternate at any pace that feels good. Keep that triple S like you've got a broom taped behind your back. Turn to the front of the mat, quadruped. Protract and retract. Stay here on your right hand and right knee. You can always slide that right knee further in. Left foot steps back, modified side plank. Left hand to the right shoulder, hold it in place. Drag that right shoulder blade in toward the spine. Maybe the left foot comes up. Back to quadruped, hands and knees. Now again, we're going to do that turbo dog. So stay here in quadruped, bend the elbows, wrap them in, or in down dog. Soften the knees, bend the elbows out to the side, wrap those elbows in, lifting the ribs, straighten the arms. Good. Let's lower back onto the knees if we're in down dog. You've got the option to cat-cow. You can make some big torso circles. Whatever feels good here. Moving with your breath. Noticing how you feel in the upper back, around the shoulder blades, how the shoulders feel. Let's come back into a seated position. Any comfortable seat. Checking with how you're sitting. Can we keep that stack of our neutral posture? Let the eyes close. As you inhale, really feel your breath move into the entire rib cage. So the front ribs, the side ribs, the back ribs. And on your next exhale, go ahead and thank yourself for your practice today. Sending one grateful thought out into the universe.